Hello, welcome to the Zencleanz experience. We are here with Alex and Nicholas and myself, Crystal. Again, we'll be discussing Zencleanz. Yeah, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I am Alexandra Cousins from Enlight Life, which is really a platform for regenerative living. And what I do is teach people how to regenerate their bodies through the best of holistic practices and cutting-edge science and technologies.
Excellent. So, like when you combine the two, like, are you discussing these holistic methods with actual doctors?
Yes, well, these days I teach doctors. In fact, we have just launched our practitioners training, which is really geared for everyone. But funny enough, more and more doctors and practitioners and nurses, functional medicine practitioners are joining the course and are reaching out and, saying, we want to learn what you are teaching and practicing. And I think it's because, as we know, functional medicine, which is considered the cutting edge medicine of today, right? I mean, most people know these days that allopathic medicine is really just symptom management. And we can pretty much say that 99% of allopathic medicine suppresses symptoms whilst actually making you guaranteed worse over time. So that's allopathic medicine. And then we have one up, which is functional medicine. And many people consider functional medicine as, something really advanced and cutting edge and wow. But functional medicine is really just a couple steps up from allopathic medicine. Most of the time, it still manages symptoms. It goes a little bit deeper and therefore tends to not be as disruptive and last a little bit longer, but ultimately still does not lead to full resolution. And I've learned this the hard way on my own body. And then now that I've been helping people for 8 years, most of my clients come from functional medicine practitioners, often famous functional medicine practitioners where they've spent $100,000, $200,000. Lastly, I heard $300,000 with a doctor in all kinds of testing and various methods and cutting edge, la-di-das, such as stem cell therapy, exosome therapy, all these things that many of us go, oh, I wish I would have the money for that. And it got this person absolutely nowhere. In fact, worse. And then we have the holistic practices, which, a lot of them are really good on a foundational level, but also don't fully get us to full regenerative state where we want to be. And so over the years on my own body and with clients, what I've learned is we need to combine and we need to understand when what is applicable. And then I would say I bring in an important third pillar, which is we need to understand that every single dis-ease is also here to teach us something on a deep emotional, psycho-spiritual level. And that is valid for anything that has to do with the body, any kind of symptom, even down to, because of course, sometimes people come to me and, they haven't resolved their backaches or spinal disc issues, and where they say, but this is something that's really just, it's mechanical, it's got nothing to do with anything else. But invariably, as we go through the process, we find that no, it absolutely has to do with deeper issues in the body, for example, liver issues that are reflected in the spine, but also deeper psycho-emotional issues. And when everything is addressed, we can come to full regeneration. And unless everything is addressed, we're only kind of, you know, we're addressing certain things and we feel better and we think we've overcome our issues because we feel better. But then a year goes by or 3 and we're back to kind of square one. And then we think, what went wrong now?
Right. Yeah, it just cycles back through because you didn't go as deep as you needed to, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how has Zencleanz helped your clients?
Well, I always say Zencleanz is a phenomenal, if not the best starting point for most people. And I call it the Rolls Royce of detox, because these days we know that detoxification, I mean, everybody's talking detox almost to the point where, you know, we hate the word because everybody's using it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But detox has become just simply a necessity. Just as every 6 months we need to go to a teeth cleaning, and it's just what it is. You know, we don't go, oh, should I, shouldn't I? We do it, you know?
Right.
And the same thing is Zencleanz, detoxing. We need to go and we need to regularly detox our body, period. And then especially when we live a lifestyle that is not pristine. And I mean, who can say that? You know, very, very few people. Like, for example, we live in Bali, which, yes, it's paradise, but there's also a lot of pollution, you know, and there's mold and there's, I mean, so everywhere you live, unless you live somewhere, you know, pristine in the mountains and grow your own food and, you know, we need to detox. So I would say Zencleanz, in my experience, I used to do all the detox protocols prior to discovering Zencleanz, and even prior to Zencleanz existing, I was doing it the hard way. And it would take me, I always tell my clients, it would take me 6 to 9 months to achieve what Zencleanz can achieve in a few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so efficient. So efficient.
Yeah, it's completely efficient. It's a phenomenal system. There's no trickery, there's no gimmicks. It's simply, it's nature, because we're working with powerful 3-year fermented enzymes, which is simply unheard of. We know enzymes are powerful catalysts, but then go and find another product that is 3-year fermented, you're going to struggle. And go find another product range where everything is 3-year fermented and it's packaged in such a way, area of the body, you know, where you can respectfully go through each of your areas of the body, the colon, the liver, the lymphatic system, the kidneys. There's no such thing. So it's pure genius, and I love it because it's completely natural. There is no way you can harm anyone with it. Whereas with my previous methods, you know, the rough methods that we all know, yeah, I mean, it's not nearly as pleasant. You know, I used to drink all kinds of nasty concoctions, and I would have to tell my clients that that's what they need to drink 2-3 times a day, and you know, like, and for weeks on end and months on end. We had, you know, what we call the pudding, which is psyllium husk, bentonite clay, activated charcoal, you know, plus some, it's not nice. It's not pleasant, you know. I mean, I did it. And of course, even the regular liver flushes, they're hard, and they're definitely harsher on the body. And it needs a lot more attention to detail. And whereas Zencleanz, I can just put my clients on it and say, this is what you're going to do every month, you know, and we go through the motions, and then we can spend more time addressing other things and other concerns and talking about the psycho-emotional stuff. So yeah, Zencleanz, and now that I teach doctors, you know, I always tell my practitioners, that is your baseline. That's where everybody should start. Also, why? Because when we want to venture or need to venture in the more sophisticated treatments, like peptide therapy, like potential, you know, infusions and so forth, which is where a lot of the practitioners want to start off with.
Mm.
And then they wonder why it doesn't work or why it makes the patient worse. Well, of course, toxins have not yet been removed. And or what a lot of the functional doctors call detox is a pitiful version of real detox. You know, it barely scratches the surface because they're not addressing nutrition in any major and significant way. They're not flushing anything out of the body. They're taking a couple of herbs and, you know, maybe berberine or something like that. And it's like, it does this much. So let's go deep. And then everything else you're going to do is going to work so much better because the body is now open, receptive. It has more functionality. I mean, it's really a no-brainer.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any like story from a client in particular that comes to mind that you'd like to share? Like that they were a wreck and ended up kind of a miracle story?
Well, I mean, there's many miracle stories. I mean, even a simple one, you know, recently there was a lady who had tried a lot of things and was just struggling, not terribly struggling, but struggling enough to go, oh, you know, life just doesn't feel good. Extra weight, fatigue, brain fog, thyroid issues, hormonal issues. So, you know, yes, still fairly a lot going on, and just wasn't coming right. And she was on hormone therapy, she was on thyroid medication. And she did, because I have something called a 21-day total autophagy program, which I put together. And so there's, you know, Zencleanz, but then we also use some peptides and some other herbs. And she went through the program. And then, you know, after the 21 days, there's some integration protocols. And within 6 months, I mean, I think she messaged earlier sharing her weight loss, you know, how like, wow, the weight, I think even after the 21 days, like she's like, oh my gosh, this weight that just couldn't come off, came off. I feel amazing. My skin's super bright. You know, she sent photos of her skin. She looked great. But then, you know, it still took the whatever it was, 4-6 months of integration. And then her next message was, I've come off thyroid medication. I've come off my progesterone patches. I feel incredible. You know, my nutrition has improved. And she was still every now and again doing a Zencleanz flush here and there. But, you know, her life had just she had no more brain fog. She had energy. The weight was lost and she was off hormone treatments. So, you know, to me, that is just an example of that's how simple it can be. You know, that's really how simple it can be. And I mean, currently I'm working with a client who's probably one of my hardest cases. She's 65. She has literally, I mean, you name it, she's done it, including stem cell therapy. For the last 15 years, you know, has been able to throw money at everything that was proposed to her, NAD, IVs, ketamine therapy, you know, because I mean, doctors, they just throw it all out there, you know, like as if it's candy. And she just did it all because also, you know, I mean, when you're a client, a patient, like you don't know, you trust your doctor, you know, which really, I mean, these days is one of the worst things you can do, even when you are speaking to a top practitioner, because doctors regurgitate what they've been taught, you know, and that's a big problem. Most don't deeply engage in critical thinking. But anyway, that's besides the point. So she tried everything. And we've now been working for about 4 or 5 months. And she's been doing regular Zencleanz flushes. For now, actually only the colon and the liver flushes. And, you know, she was almost at I mean, her whole body was just inflamed, terrible arthritis, spinal degeneration, you know, of course, gut issues, brain fog galore. And you know, all the things. And she's like, wow, Alex, for the first time, I feel like I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And she's on peptides and, you know, she's on all the things. I mean, she's on a rigorous program, but the point is we're not doing IVs. We're not doing any kind of fancy treatment. And slowly and steadily, she is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. She's seeing that, yes, healing is possible. She's back at the gym, which, you know, she couldn't do several months ago. So that, to me, that is a miracle.
Yes, it is. Wow. And in only just a few months. She's been struggling for years, and then Zencleanz, and along with all your other methods, have
absolutely. So I really feel Zencleanz, you know, it is the foundation, because enzymes are catalysts. They work like little Pac-Mans. They eat away at the inflammation, because of course we know oftentimes dis-ease, and especially when we talk about, you know, autoimmune conditions, but anything really, because any disease is somewhere an inflammatory process. So, and it's an inflammatory process that the body is not able to get rid of, to process. So there's inflammation that builds up and the body can't get rid of it. Whether we have genetic malfunctions, genetic impairments, you know, lifestyle, because our diet is not promoting detoxification or allowing detoxification of the body. And that's where the enzymes are such powerful helpers. It's like literally all you're doing with the enzymes. You know, I always tell people, imagine before the enzymes, you're working at all of this by yourself. Your body has to do the work on its own. When you employ Zencleanz, it's like you have an army of, you know, a gazillion little Pac-Mans that are helping your body to clean up. And the more we clean up, because that's also why fasting is so powerful. Fasting is powerful because because we're not eating. So we're taking away a job for the body. Now the body can go deeper into cleanup. That's the power of fasting, autophagy. And so when we, you know, when we employ, and yet when we fasting without enzymes, the body has to still do all the work by itself. So of course, fasting allows the body to do the work better than if we're eating and trying to detox, you know. But when we take the enzymes and fasting, like that's in some ways, you know, the best way for most people, because now you're not eating and you're having all these helpers. And as we know, you know, if you take the enzymes regular, you're not hungry. You know, they're filling, and so you're not going to feel hungry. So it's going to be easier to fast, which is why we have so many newbies being able to fast for 21 days, no problem. And they surprise themselves and go, oh my gosh, this was so easy.
Wow.
So Zencleanz gives you an army of helpers.
Yeah, because when you fast, your body has to create its own enzymes. And if you're already weak, damaged, and debilitated, you're not generating very many enzymes to digest the junk.
Yeah.
So that's why we buy them.
Especially when and then your organs, you know, oftentimes like we get these really difficult cases of whether it's Lyme disease or, you know, just complex autoimmune conditions where they've just been in a degenerative process for so many years, right? Jumping around doctor to doctor. And every time, I mean, you know, because I always say I didn't start out wanting to teach to doctors. I mean, hello, I'm not a doctor. You know, the only reason why I now am is because eventually I realized, okay, for whatever reason, these doctors don't know what I know. And I don't have all the answers, but I feel like I have a good foundation that can make all the difference, and that repeatedly I see makes all the difference. Because in these complex autoimmune conditions, what I see most doctors do is working on killing the pathogens, with all kinds of things, oftentimes even with antibiotics, which is where I really go, where do we think we're going to go with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, please, some doctor explain to me, where do you think you're going to go by killing off pathogens, by honing in on, we need to go after the Bartonella virus? Really? Is that how you're going to resolve the problem, by killing off everything in the body? Sometimes I've seen clients even get onto chemotherapy drugs, and that's when I really want to scream and go, okay, you clearly as a doctor just know nothing. You are just regurgitating what the pharmaceutical companies are suggesting to you, and you are not employing any kind of logical thinking. Because the only reason why the body gets sick, if it's not strong enough in the first place, because a strong immune system, a strong gut, a healthy liver is going to be able to process all kinds of things,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we need to bring life into the body, not death.
Yeah,
Life.
yeah. So I was gonna say they're sort of a part of that death cult. Everything's dead that they work with. So we need to be on the living, alive.
The living edge.
Yeah. Align ourselves with life.
Mm-hmm.
And life is nature. That's when also, like, when we talk about alternative healing methods, no, there is no alternative healing method. I would say modern medicine is the alternative method for those people that do not want to align themselves with nature for whatever reason, right? Because that is actually the original disconnect. So if we really want to go back, when did this happen? Hippocrates, as much as I like the dude because he said some pretty clever things, but ultimately it was Hippocrates who split the body from the spirit. Because up until Hippocrates, medicine was viewed and practiced by priests and astrologers.
Yes.
Who would treat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who would treat the body and the spirit and life as one.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, they couldn't even be a doctor, right? Without having knowledge of the stars, astrology.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Which to me is like, yes, that is what makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And these doctors would accompany the family, sometimes, 1-2 generations. So the doctor would know the whole family, the constellation of the family, the troubles, and then we can treat the whole, which is why, that is how I work with my clients. The first thing we do, instead of, going, let's go into, $10,000-$20,000 of testing. What's that going to do? Like, do I need to test a dead horse? No. I generally don't suggest testing up until we've at least reestablished some form of life connection. Then we can test, then we can see, okay, there's certain weaknesses, there's certain levels of toxicity, there's certain genetic implications. But when we're just starting out, I need to bring life back. And what matters then is, what is your family constellation? What is the psychospiritual aspect that brought you to this point? And there always is one. Always. Inevitably. Sometimes I have to dig a little bit deeper, but inevitably there is a major psychospiritual point of tension, of disease, that then allowed, and oftentimes I would say especially with the more complex health messes, you know, where when we get these people who just like, they've tried everything, they've got all this long list of symptoms, and, you know, we don't even know where to start. Typically, those people, oh, my light just became brighter.
Wow.
Typically, those people, they come from deeply traumatic households. So they have experienced deep trauma as children. And that deep trauma has affected their hypothalamus, the development of their endocrine system. And so from a very young age, the filter through which they have developed is life is scary. Life, aliveness is scary, is dangerous, not even scary, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because our natural impulse and need and desire is to be, and here I'm talking of children, right? Children's desire, not even desire, need, children's need is to be reflected as the divine gifts of God, right? As children, didn't we all know, didn't you know that I'm the greatest gift ever born? I am mommy and daddy's greatest jewel. And of course, so is my brother and so is my sister. We are the jewels. And that's why everything is like, look, mommy, look, daddy.
Look at me.
I am here to enlighten your life. And when that doesn't get reflected, when we are not mirrored as that, it's like, what do you mean? How is that possible? It is so deeply disturbing to the soul. The endocrine system, what is the endocrine system? The endocrine system is the chakras. It's directly correlated. So the chakras are simply the energies of each gland. And each gland is here to develop our connection to life, to the multidimensionality of life. So when we are impaired as children, we're already, it's like, okay, life is dangerous. We can't just relax into life. We need to stay attentive, fight or flight. Mommy every now and again becomes, you know, a mad woman. We never know how she responds. So I need to stay aware. I can't think of playing, being connected to nature. I need to stay attentive to what mommy wants or daddy, you know, abuse, Mr. Jackal, what is it, Jacqueline and Hyde, you know, this we never know who we're going to get. When you have that growing up, there is no time to develop our higher chakras, you know, and then that cascades down. It shrinks the thymus gland, so there's impaired immunity, and it just cascades, you know, it cascades down. And then at some point, typically in our 20s, for most people, it's in their 20s, latest in their 30s, but it's becoming earlier and earlier as we go on. There's these complex autoimmune conditions, and then we call it Lyme disease. And we call it lupus, we call it whatever, you know, because yes, maybe there was a tick bite that threw the whole system over the edge. Maybe it was COVID that threw the system over the edge, and now we call it long COVID.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we give it all these fancy names. Mast cell activation syndrome. That's a good one.
Wow.
Yeah.
also it's going to go after all these pathways, these pathways that have gone wrong, naughty pathways.
Mm.
Need to look a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And put it all together.
Yep. Put all the pieces together. Yeah, I really like your holistic approach.
Yeah, like a truly holistic approach.
Yeah.
Wholesome.
And then yes, we also need to say, well, what are the latest incredible developments? I mean, I've become an amazing proponent and total fan of peptide therapy. I work with peptide bioregulators, which come out of the Russian military. 40 years ago, they were developed for the Russian military. And most people know peptides as peptide injectables.
Mm.
And again, most doctors, especially in the US, but kind of worldwide, it's like they want to work with peptide injectables. And they go from zero to peptides.
Mm.
Peptides are incredible, and they really are miracle workers. They truly are. But only when we have the right foundation.
Right.
If you come as a complete mess and we don't address any of that and we just inject peptides, is it going to do something? Yes, absolutely. But is it going to last? It's not. And or is it going to give you the results that it could give you if you were to first address the foundations in a solid way? No. And peptides, I mean, they're not grossly expensive, but they're on the expensive side. Peptide therapy, you're looking anywhere between minimum of $500 to $1,500 a month, something like that. So it's not crazy expensive, but it is expensive. So you want to make sure that your foundations are solid. So these are the kind of things that, again, I practice and I teach because it makes all the difference.
Yes, it does. You're doing some amazing work. Definitely.
Yeah. And I always say I was dragged by the hair. Like, I didn't choose this. It chose and it then presented itself, and its own experience in my body. And then with my clients, I've gone, wow, things don't have to be as complicated.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot more simple than we like to think it is, right?
Totally.
Especially the
And at the same
intellectual.
time, it's not easy. I always say it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, some people want to think it's going to take, some crazy investigation to figure out what it is, but it's usually pretty simple.
Yeah. But then we need to apply the simple, because also a lot of people nowadays, they think, oh, if I just throw enough money at something, and I take all the things, boom, 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 I'm better.
Yeah, money will
no, unfortunately not.
Right?
It still takes the work, because we need to take the products, we need to go through the detox symptoms, we need to go through all of that. And I always say the most important and maybe difficult part of the journey is the emotional.
Right.
Because that needs to be purged, and our mindset needs to change.
Yeah, because that's kind of what started it all. That's what's been with us the longest, is the emotional aspects. Yeah.
Totally. And I would say, especially when we come from traumatic childhood events, which was also my case, for many years, I could not, because that my normal, we grow up with that as being normal. We grow up functioning under a false lens filter, and that becomes our normal. So I didn't think that I was living in stress. I was like, I'm the calmest person on the planet. What do you mean? Poker face. you know, all the stress was like internal in my organs, twisted up. But on the front, it was like, what do you mean?
Right. Yes.
You know,
Yeah. So we can't see it.
we can't see it. So it's only through the undoing. And then we become who we really came here to be. Because to me, the process of going from dis-ease to ease is so that, you know, it's just like when you plant the seed of a rose, if you water it and the sun shines on the ground, give it enough time, right? Because it doesn't happen in a week, but give it enough time, the rose there it is.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know, it grows, it's coming, the bud, it opens.
And it was so worth it. You realize
And it was so worth it.
All that growth was worth it.
And it's the same thing with us, with every single human being. You know, there is no such thing. Like sometimes, I don't work a lot with children, but sometimes, you know, people bring me their kids or talk about their kids, and, you know, they'll say like, you know, my kid, it's such a difficult case and I don't know what to do. And, you know, they have health issues, but also the psycho-emotional. And it's like I always say, I don't believe in any difficult children.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't exist. A naughty child.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a naughty child.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
There's such a thing as a child who is not being seen as the pure light that he or she is, and that is living in an environment that is affecting the gut and, you know, everything else. But when that is rectified, child blossoms.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Wow. So many beautiful things you've brought today. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Did you have any last final thoughts you wanted to share? Maybe like where people can find you on social media and all that?
Well, probably the easiest is on Instagram, Alexandra Cousins, and Facebook. Yeah, I think final thoughts is really, I mean, my mission is to really demystify disease for people and to show that disease is a gift. Every single disease is a gift, you know, as much as that's the last thing we want to hear, but it really truly is. And when we can see it as such, you know, even cancer, because cancer oftentimes is like, you know, this big, we don't touch cancer type of thing. But even cancer, it's like, it's time to really to stop the farce of all these diseases. You know, we speak about diseases as if they come out of freaking nowhere. And it's such an injustice to life itself, because it keeps us in illusion, you know. And then, yes, of course, sometimes we die of a disease. So not everybody can be healed. But there's also such thing as destiny and mystery, and, you know, and at the same time, I mean, I have seen enough people heal from the unthinkable. So we need to learn to really rejoice in what life gives us, and to work with it, and to see that it is all for our greatest good and development. And it ultimately, if we're here breathing in a body, it's because we came to learn from life in a body. And then everything else we do, the entertainment, you know, loving driving fast cars or going to parties or all of that, that can be cherries on top. So it's not that, you know, that's all nonsense. you can do anything. You know, you can live a lavish lifestyle, you can live a lifestyle in the forest, growing your own food, whatever pleases you, whatever makes you feel like you are a child of God dancing on this planet, do it. Right? There is no good, no bad, no better or worse, no more spiritual or less spiritual. But understand that the primary reason why you're in a body is to learn about life in a body. And that this body is your teacher. And then go play, because we're here to play.
Oh, wow. I love it. I'm getting truth bumps all over.
Yeah, it is exciting. Like, right when we fully get that, and I mean, that's been my experience. I lived as a rotten apple for like 35 years as a complete, you know, I mean, many times I was like, okay, you know what? It's not that I had suicidal tendencies. It was just like, I think I'm done over here. I think I've done all I could do. I just want to get off. You know, there was no drama about it. And to know that I have completely turned my life around and that I am living in the joy of being alive in a body. It's like, well, anybody can do that. It's what we're here to do.
Yes. Yes. Anybody can. Yep.
Anybody can.
Just got to put your mind to it and decide.
Yes. Yes.
And
It's committing. It's committing to it.
Yeah.
And do we have another couple minutes? I want to share.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So 5 years ago, one of my very first clients and we started an NPO, nonprofit organization in South Africa, where basically we decided to teach all these protocols, the more difficult protocols, because Zencleanz didn't exist back then, to the previously disadvantaged people in South Africa, right? So these are the coloreds, the Black people of South Africa, often no money, you know, very little money, and just complete slaves to the system and to the medical system, who basically prescribes antibiotics for everything. Everything, the answer is an antibiotic and or chemotherapy drugs, pretty much, you know, painkillers, like all the things. And so a lot of people, overweight, diabetes, you know, you name it, lifestyle related issues. And so we started this nonprofit organization where we teach these people how to reclaim their health. And we've changed the lives of 5,000 people in 5 years. And these are people with no money or very little money. And they do it the hard way. And I always say, you know, if those people can do it the hard way, and they've often transformed their life, the life of their family, transforming the life of their community by being beacons of light, by, you know, and some of these women, I mean, they are amazing, their spirit, because when these people wake up, there's no stopping them. And so what I've learned there too is, if they can do it, anybody can do it. When we have all these incredible tools at our fingertips, it's possible.
Yep. Zencleanz is definitely the easy route.
It's the easy route.
Yeah.
You just have to keep on doing it.
Yes.
You know, at the pace. I always say, go at the pace of love. Go at the pace of what's available to you financially. If you can do it more, great, do it more. You have to go slower, go slow, but do it. And don't get caught in the idea that all these other fancy treatments are going to get you there faster, because Zencleanz is the foundation.
Very good. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Crystal and Nicholas. And yeah, blessings to the work that you're doing and the awareness that you're bringing out, because it's so crucial and needed.